hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and thank you so much for joining me today for the Friday Masterclass, where we are continuing to explore the power, the awesomeness of Frame.io and Premiere Pro. And I've got some special guests with me today who are going to take you through yet another extremely cool element of Frame.io that we launched at the NAB show just a few short weeks ago. So lots in store today. As always, of course, we're coming to you across multiple networks, Adobe Live, Behance, 3 YouTube networks, Twitter, and LinkedIn today. So thank you so much for joining. Want to remind everybody that, of course, we've got a lot of chatting going on. So if you want to be part of the chat that is directly in front of my face, this is where you want to be, b.net/Adobe Live. So as always, of course, a couple quick shout outs to everybody. We enjoy every day. How's it going? 13 Hat Studios, CG Title, Bruce Gonzalez, Tim Mobeast, Oliver Andros, Elizabeth Yorick, Bliss Art, Reverb Mike, always great to see you. Jack Watson, how are you doing? All right, and Cody, iSimp, great to see you all here. Okay, so, and of course, to all of our friends at No Film School. All right, so listen, we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. I just want to get right into it. So we're going to start by bringing on my two guests, fellow Adobe employees, my first two guests. We've got Michael Cioni, who is the Senior Director of Global Innovation at Adobe, along with Rob Laughlin, Manager of Innovation Technology. Please welcome to the stream, Michael and Rob. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. Great. Thanks for having us.
Doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Great to see you both. Well, I know we got a lot to talk about today, and it's specifically around camera to cloud. Now, last week we had your fellow colleague, Sean, who was kind of giving us yet again another sort of look at Frame in terms of a daily's workflow and how, whether you're a solopreneur, someone working with brands, or working in sort of larger teams, how you can use Frame for all of the commenting and review goodness, and how that, of course, goes right back into Premiere and really kind of optimizes your workflow. But today you're going to show something that is quite possibly some of the coolest tech that we have, and that's this camera to cloud thing. So Michael, Rob, you know, give our users, before we get into, I know you were going to start with a little deck here, what can you tell us about camera to cloud on the surface here?
You know, this is so wonderful to be here again, and we are really excited because this is that exploratory, it's that exploratory sort of time where everyone's exploring new technologies. Many of us did this 10 years ago or even 15 years ago when we switched from tape to files. Even before that, 15 and 20 years ago, from analog to digital. This is one of those elements that's like on the level of like massive cataclysmic change that sort of breeds all sorts of new things. You know, a catalyst is a great word for this, because a catalyst is something that makes other things possible in these sort of chain reactions. Camera to cloud is effectively the removal. It's the best catalyst because it's the removal of the bindings of the physical world. We are all limited by the physical world when it comes to shooting and editing. There's a gap in there that the physical world has to work with. Sometimes for a lot of us, FedEx is a part of your workflow. You just forget to put it on your spreadsheets, right? But it's a part of your workflow. Let's get rid of that. Let's connect little red record buttons to timelines for the first time so that creative control can actually be free of the physical world. And that's what we're going to demonstrate today, which everyone's going to get to participate in a little bit.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And I have to say, Michael, I don't think your enthusiasm is coming through enough. No.
Heard that before.
This is, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, this is the thing. We had this with Sean last week. With Sean last week. As we were live collaborating, I mean, there's a certain expectation today that when we're doing things via the cloud, they are sort of instantaneous. But as you just said, when you see it really in context, and it becomes something that you can not only understand that, yes, this is happening among other people, but this actually works for you, and it just works. It just breaks all the barriers that we know and kind of brings us into this entirely new world and this new concept of like how we shoot, how we store, how we edit, how we access, and how we just really kind of rewrite the book on the things that we knew even just a few years ago.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what we're going to need to do here. So I want to set this up with a little bit of exposition. A good story has an introduction and some exposition, right? So I want to switch to that for a moment here. And it's going to start with a little bit of a story. I'm from Los Angeles. I live in California. And in LA, we don't walk anywhere. We're terrible at this. We drive everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on a little journey, and we're going to go this future. We're going to walk into the future a little bit, what we call the path to a cloud-first workflow. Cloud-first is how you generally work when you're on your phone. You're shooting or you're typing an email or a text message, and it just moves. It's in the cloud first. That's where you get it. That's where you receive it. That's how you use it. That's how you interact with it. But in media and entertainment, the cloud is not in the first position. Traditionally, for many of you, the cloud might be in slot 3, 4, or 5. You shoot, you have a media card. That's not the cloud. You download to a hard drive. That's not the cloud. You ship it through FedEx or the mail, or you even walk it to your post-production plans. It's not the cloud. Then you edit, still local, and then you publish it and share it. That might be like step 5 or 6 for people. What we're going to see happen over the next 10 years is a cloud-first workflow. The cloud will be in slot 1. And when the cloud is in slot 1, that's the catalyst that unlocks everything. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to surmise a little play here of 10 years, and you can sort of figure out where you fit in this world. Today, everyone is relying on shuttle drives to move their media. And we are trying to move to the cloud first. How do we move to the cloud in the first position today? We use an external proxy file. So it's an external recorded file. It's small, it's a proxy, it's tiny. And then you upload that to the cloud automatically in slot 1. So that's how we are getting to the cloud today. But it's got some problems. What are the problems? It's external, it's a proxy. Those are a little bit limiting. By the year 2026, every single camera manufactured on the planet will record an internal proxy file. Some cameras already do that. You might say, I think my camera already has a proxy file internally. That's called dual record. It has a raw file or a hero file and then a proxy. Not every camera does that yet, but by 2026, everything will, and it will have an integrated way to upload it from the camera itself, meaning you don't need an external recorder. The camera itself will be an internet device, like your doorbell or your thermostat is today. Cameras will be the same. By the year 2028, we're going to switch from from proxy files to raw files. So we're going to see high quality files. Now, this is the critical period. What's going to happen for the world between the years 26 and 28 is we're going to see the average global bandwidth improve dramatically through the democratization of Wi-Fi 6, 5G, millimeter wavelength 5G specifically, and satellite, low Earth orbit satellite internet technologies. Those which today might be a little on the fringe, they might be kind of pie in the sky, they might be very immature. By the year 2026 to 2028, they're going to become normal, which means the bandwidth not only is available, it's high. So people can upload raw files to the cloud. Some of you will start doing this much sooner than 2028, but in the terms of the largest tipping point, these are the crucial years. By the year 2031, that means cameras that are manufactured will have no removable media. No media to come out of it. There's actually a camera today that everybody has that has no removable media. What is that camera?
Their iPhone.
Your iPhone, right? Like the easiest way to get things off your iPhone is to like upload it, to email it, right? Like that's the easiest way to get it off. That same principle will travel to all other cameras. And so what it means is over the next 8-9 years, everyone's going to go on this journey and you get to decide when are you going to put the cloud first. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that it is a technological certainty that this will happen. Meaning it isn't going to be a choice. Just like today, you don't have a choice to shoot on DV cam. Like it's like they don't manufacture it anymore. It's not something that you're going to do. You can't shoot a 4K DV cam file. It doesn't work. That doesn't exist. So we're all going to switch.
Lord help you if you could.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of digitizing. And so the idea is that we're going to all go on this journey. And somewhere between today and 2031, you're going to go through a technological change that the media you buy, the cameras you buy, the workflows you deploy will be cloud first. And that's what camera to cloud ultimately is. And I want to invite you to bother us, to ask us, to challenge us, to test it. We provide free tests. We provide consultations. We do all this stuff because we want to ignite and expand the amount of early adopters that really see the vision here. And we're really excited about doing that. And again, my name is Michael Cioni. And I'm actually joined by two colleagues, Rob Laughlin and John Blackwood. And John is going to be in the chat. Any questions you have, John is a Wikipedia of answers, and he's also wicked fast. So you can really get your answers there. Rob will be helping in the chat. Rob will actually be doing some of the demonstration today because we want to show this. We don't want to just say it. We want to show it. Again, using a good term in the world of narrative. You know, all of you use a universal backbone to your workflows. You have picture and sound. You have to transfer that media. Sometimes you have to ship it and process it and edit. What Camera to Cloud does is it takes pictures and sound, skips all of those physical world barriers we were talking about, and brings it right to the cutting room. In other words, picture and sound production and post can happen unilaterally, in parallel, and those other steps can happen independently. Eventually, these other steps might sort of go away, but today we need them, but they don't have to be inhibitors. The physical world doesn't have to be inhibitors of this process. The way we're getting there is what we call Camera to Cloud for all. We launched Camera to Cloud a year ago, but it was very exclusive to specific cameras that used SDI streams, those B and C cables. And what's happening now is we have expanded this to support pretty much almost every possibility of camera. We're going to do a quick little deep dive into these, but just as an introduction here, Teradek makes a product called Serve 4K. It's going to be shipping in June, so it's coming out in just a week or so. And this is a solution for SDI cameras if you prefer to use those. Adamus is releasing the Ninja Connect in July. This connects to HDMI cameras, and it allows you to connect to the cloud with those devices. And then Filmic Pro is already available, and that takes smartphones, Apple and Android, and allows you to shoot video from your phone right to the cloud. So before we demonstrate it, we want to just unlock a few of these specs because understanding the hardware implications of your production pipeline is important to being able to build a software-based post-production pipeline that's in the cloud. The Teradek Serve is this little guy right here. So it's this little device that goes on the back of your camera. It can be a gold mount or V mount, which means you can connect it to the battery of the camera. So if you look at this camera, which is a Panavision DXL, the battery sits on the back. It powers the Serve, which passes that power into the camera. So it becomes in line in the back of the camera, and it is your internet device, so to speak. And it's taking those proxy files and uploading them. What's cool about the Serve 4K is that it can capture H.265 files at 10-bit 422 quality. So if you want to use a high-quality Camera to Cloud asset, it might not even be a proxy anymore. This can be up to 45 megabits per second. In fact, there's opportunity for you to update that to 85 megabits per second. If you had the bandwidth, you could shoot log 4K, 10-bit, 85 megabits per second files in HDR gamut. So this is ultra high fidelity. This is higher quality than Netflix when you watch it. So you could effectively be shooting Netflix quality results in a way in HDR in 10-bit 422, which means they're easy for color correction because they're high fidelity in their color. And what's cool about this is you have the ability to bond it on your phone. So you can actually connect this to your phone and use your phone as a hotspot. That's certainly going to impact your monthly upload data limits, but you can technically use your phone as a hotspot if you didn't have anything else. And as I mentioned, this is shipping in June. This is a very cool product for the high-end people that want 4K HDR files from an SDI camera source. The next one is that Ninja Connect. This is one of my favorites because it unlocks the most amount of cameras. The widest amount of camera usage in professional media is mirrorless cameras or DSLRs or SLR cameras. And these are cameras that traditionally use HDMI outputs, and they can capture high quality. They have great sensors, but they might not have great recording solutions, and it's kind of hard to see the monitor in the back of the camera. That's what Adamus does. Adamus builds these onboard monitors that take an HDMI signal, but now they are releasing in July a Connect module. The Connect module accessorizes an existing Ninja or Ninja monitor, which that means you can have a Ninja monitor that's 5 years old. You can have a camera that's 5 years old. And if you put on the Ninja Connect module, it activates a cloud connection automatically in the same device. That means you can have existing tech and turn it into a camera to cloud device, which modernizes it brings it into the future, so to speak.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
And is
inexpensive.
significantly more cost effective, I think, for more users right across the deck as well.
That's right. At $399, we're talking about cameras that you probably have access to, and a Ninja is available and everywhere. There's hundreds of thousands of them. And now for $399 US, you put it online. And what's cool, this module does two things. It's an internet connection, that's important, but it's also a proxy recorder. It records a proxy H.265. So you're recording the ProRes file on the hard drive, like 4K, and now Adamus has 8K ProRes RAW in your Ninja, but it'll simultaneously do a proxy, which is like a little transcode that can publish that to the internet using low bandwidth options like LTE. So this is very cool, and this is coming out really soon. And the third one, and maybe the most interesting, is Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is the world's most popular paid video app for Android and iOS. And now what Filmic Pro does is it has a direct integration with Frame.io, and it uses the modem in your phone to automatically take a proxy file and transmit it to the cloud. The reason this is so exceptional is Filmic Pro has done some incredible technology here, and they're doing a major technological first. The phone, normally, we all are where we can record an asset on a phone. What Filmic Pro did is they allow you to record ProRes, which is pretty advanced encoding for a phone, but it takes the ProRes file and it automatically transcodes that to an AVC file. So it's a transcode from ProRes on a phone. And if you're like, if you think about that for a second, you're like, wow, my phone can transcode ProRes and then publish that to the cloud. That's pretty award-winning technology when you think about it.
Question about that. By the way, we have so many more hellos. We have Dermot, we have Habesh, we have Dineo asking, yes, this will be recorded. You will be able to watch this after. Abhishek, Funtertainment, Noel, Harsh, Himani, and Makisha. Do you need, now I know it's for both iOS and Android. On the iOS side, you don't need an iPhone 13 Pro Max to take advantage of this though, do you? Or can you use it with older versions of iPhones as well?
12s and 11s are also compatible. So it has to be in the newer generations of iPhone, but it does not have to be a 13.
Okay, yeah, that's very significant because there are still a lot out there, myself included. Although I have now moved to the 13 Pro Max, but my sort of day-to-day phone is still an 11. Kind of cool that I could do it on that as well.
Yeah, that's right. The 13 gives you the ProRes unlock, which you need the latest for that. Yep. But you can still shoot 4K H.265 in 2020 on a phone that's 3 years old, and that's actually pretty convenient. What we see here is, the app is $15, and sometimes on the App Store that feels expensive, but it's more expensive than a cup of coffee, but it's a pretty powerful tool. And you have to have the cinematographer bundle, which is an extra $15 to unlock the Pro tools inside of it, which include Frame.io. So a $30 investment is one time. It's not a subscription. So once you're in, you're in. And now you can record 4K AVC or ProRes in 10-bit 422 in HDR or 2020. And then you get a proxy encode in 720, 1080 at 3 megabits, which we call 1080 LQ, low quality, and then 1080 high quality, which is 10 megabits. So you can control the proxy quality as well. And you can buy this today. And you could set this up in probably 120 seconds. While I'm yakking here, you could download this, set it up. And if you have a Frame.io account, you can activate this immediately, which is really powerful. So again, what we're looking at here is camera to cloud for all. And we want everyone to be able to participate in the activation of cloud-first workflows. It might sound trivial to you. For you, you might say, it sounds cool. Shooting to the cloud seems cool. But I cannot overstate this. Until you actually do it on a real production, you will not fully understand what this unlocks. Similar to switching from film to tape or tape to files. Each of them, everybody can wrap their head around the concept. But until you do it, you don't realize what it actually unlocks underneath it. That's why I use the word at the beginning, catalyst. This will be a catalyst and will unlock new things that I'm not even talking about. I haven't even thought of yet. And that's what we're learning from our users. That's really powerful. Today with Camera to Cloud for All, we now see 200 different camera types. Somewhere on here in these lists of cameras, you probably have experience with one, or maybe you own one, or maybe you own a few. And that's the point, to integrate with all these cameras. But Camera to Cloud is also about connecting to other devices. Teradek sound devices, Colorfront, Pomfret, Zoelog, Adamus, Magic Viewfinder, Viviana, FDX. These are all these different devices are ways that we're connecting. We have built a community. And this is great because to be a part of the Behance world is also all about community. Community means that we have a bi-directional relationship, that we talk with each other, and that's how we learn and improve. The Camera to Cloud Connections is allowing us to get the tools that the users want to connect to the cloud so that they can become cloud-first technologies themselves. We actually have more than 40 new companies in the works right now. And so over the next 12 months, you will see Camera to Cloud connections across all of these, which means one login and one password and one place to go to integrate assets of all types of media directly into Frame.io. That's what this is about, centralizing so that you have more creative control and you don't have to search and you don't have to have 40 passwords and 40 accounts and 40 subs to be able to make your work flow. So
that's awesome. That's so
it's a lot of talking, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, let's get into it. I was going to say, so Noel was just asking too, and this is to your point before, I think if we're talking about Adamus in particular, is it possible to use this with a Canon SLR or DSLR? If it's got HDMI, yes, right?
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah, Adamus talks directly with the, or works directly with the Canon cameras. So, definitely go to the Adamus site. They've got a huge list of compatibility there, and they do a really good job of organizing that. So definitely look that up.
Nice. All right. Yeah, people are champing at the bit, as it were, to see this in practice. So Michael and Rob, let's do it. And I'm also checking through, got a lot of great questions here over on Adobe Live as well. So here, before you get to that, so John Blackwood is asking, with HD transcodes getting up to a central location and camera original clip name and time code, you can get started editing. Oh, no, that's John. That's your John. Sorry, John. I'm reading your own commentary here. You're answering. Asking.
Yeah.
There's a couple Johns in here.
Ask John. Feel free to keep asking away. We want to get those questions while we're all here to help. And what we're going to do now is actually demonstrate it. And to demonstrate this, we're partnered with a company called Sclera Digital, and they provide professional grade LTE modems. So everything that we do is using LTE technology. So we're using cell phones. People ask, how do I shoot to the cloud? When is it going to work? And the answer is, if you can make a phone call, you can use Camera to Cloud. That's how we're doing this. So I'm going to hide my screen right here. And what we're going to do is probably go to Rob's screen in a second here. I'm in California, and this is a great way to demonstrate it. Rob is in New Jersey. So we are nowhere near each other. And what you're seeing is Rob's Premiere Pro. I'm in California. I've got my camera here is actually a red helium camera. And I'm also recording separate audio on a Sound Devices 888. So I have a separate audio microphone from my video 8K red helium camera. And I'm connected to one of those new serves, the Teradek serve device SDI. So what I'm going to do is shoot several takes. But remember, you're looking at Rob's screen. So you see me over here, but this is Rob's screen, which is some 2,500 miles away. And we want to show you what we can do with a cell tower and Frame.io Camera to Cloud. So I'm going to hit record on picture, record on sound. This is Michael coming from his home in Los Angeles, California. It's cloudy out here, and I'm going to give Rob a sync point. And now I'm going to turn it over to Rob and hit cut.
All right. Thanks, Michael. So I'm looking at Premiere Pro. I've got up here docked is my Frame.io panel. So this is native to the latest version of Premiere. It's built in now. It used to be an extension, but now it's part of it. And you can see it's already populating. I'm in today's folder, right? This is today. It's already populating with assets from Michael, right? So I don't have to do anything. It just showed up as the assets were being created. So I can go into his video folder here, right? Because we're sorting by video and by audio. I can see his proxies are coming through, right, as he's shooting them. But I can also look at the audio, and I can see that coming in here as well. So if I go pull some of these takes in, I can see that's labeled by his device, which is his serve, right? It's a camera, but of course that could be whatever camera that we're using. I'm going to pull these into my bin here using the import function, which is just going to localize these assets real quick and then put them right into my bin. Now I've got them in here, and I can start working, right? I've got my clip name, I've got my time code, and everything is ready to go, right? nothing came out of the camera, just the video signal. So I'm just gonna do a really quick drop these in. I see we've got another take here, so I'm gonna add that. Do a little daily string out here to share back to my project. So what I think I'm gonna do though, before I do that, is just make a little marker. Like I like this take a lot. Let's circle it.
Yes,
Right.
and luckily for us last week, Sean explained using the markers and putting that commentary is how you'll see it back in frame. So all the people watching are very familiar with this now, good students. As you're doing that, by the way, maybe a question for you or Michael. Dermot is asking, he's wondering about security and also copyright ownership by uploading to the cloud. So this actually came up last week too. We were hoping that you two could shed a little light on that. I imagine you have certain permissions when sharing these things and allowing people into your folders and such. Maybe you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Frame.io is broken up into several different organizational structures, right? So the first one is your account. So I'm in Michael's account here, right? See Michael's account. And he's got a bunch of people in there that he's invited explicitly. He's the owner, he's the admin, he's controlled that. So let's say you're a production company or say a design firm or something. You would own that your company would own an account, and then you would share out to your clients from there, as an example. So inside of accounts, we have teams, right? So teams are how you organize your projects, and projects are where the assets live. So you can control who has access to what team, and you can make sure that only client A has access to the client A team, and only client B has access to client B team. But everything is controlled by your administration. Even if you're just a single creator, that would just be you. You can control who has access to what by explicitly inviting people. It's not public, right? And then, of course, inside of that, you can control permission levels, right? So, levels, there's 4 levels. There's collaborator, team member, team manager, and admin. So each of those people have different, what they can and can't do, right? So versus delete and upload and things like that. But yeah,
I imagine share as well, right?
Exactly.
Depending upon that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. All right. So yeah, back in the timeline, someone's asking, hey, well, can we see the footage that was just shot there that you pulled in? So
yeah,
proof that it actually came in live. Although we were all watching the footage. I mean, and we enjoy saying this is fantastic. Seeing it sort of come in live again, it's just cool because it's just working and it's working so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. So all this is in my timeline, right? This is the stuff Michael just shot, and it's in my timeline. And in fact, while we were talking, I sent out a string out, right, a daily string out, right back up to Frame.io, right, using the all the panel tools that Sean went over last week. It's now back in the cloud, ready for review, right? So if I open this up, I can see, the comments I've made in here. Michael's added a whole bunch of new comments on that asset, and we're already collaborating, right? We're going back and forth. We're making notes to each other about what we just shot a few minutes ago. And that's just the proxies, right? So we're also getting the audio, and we've got this custom action set up here where we can actually put those back together, right? So this is, let's see, find the first take here. There we go. We've got the hero audio from the mixer, and we've got the proxy from the serve, and they're time code jammed, so we can put them back together on Frame.io with this custom tool we built for this project. Now, if I play this, hopefully it'll come through okay. You'll see that we put this in sync. So let me play this now.
Record on sound. This is Michael coming from his home in Los Angeles, California. It's cloudy out here, and I'm going to give Rob a sync point. And now I'm going to turn it over to Rob and hit.
Great. So, I mean, there's lots of, lots of opportunities come up once you start to centralize everything, right? And you have the benefit of having it all get itself organized, right? So I know immediately where my video assets are. I know immediately where my audio assets are. And with all the other integrations we have, right, with camera reports and color like CDLs, those all sort into their own folders as well. And so we've got an edits folder there. So we're dropping that in edits. So if I go back and actually look at that feedback, right, I can see all the comments pop up. And see Michael's making some comments, making Mark too. And, maybe I want to do, like I want to lose this take. I can do that here as well. Remove that from my circles, and I can send that back up into my edits folder here. And now I've got, a second version of our daily string out, and we haven't even downloaded anything from the camera, right? So again, you can see how that feedback loop just gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And you can imagine how me as an editor being remote with Michael on set, I can give feedback in real time. It's like, okay, maybe the timing of this didn't work, or hey, we buzz focus on that shot, we got to reshoot it, or we're missing this prop, it's got to be over here, or whatever. That can happen in real time. You start to see where all that time you gain back, where you don't waste the whole day with the plant on the left side instead of the right side or something, things like that.
Right.
So Jason,
so now,
we want to share this with the team. So if you could go back to my screen, we want everyone to see if you could participate in this too. So I put a QR code on my screen, and if you hold your phone up, I promise we won't be spamming you. If you hold your phone up and you grab that QR code, this will open your phone and send it to your web browser. So let it open the web browser to Frame.io. If you already have a Frame.io account, it might take you right to your Frame.io account. If not, that's okay. It should open up a web browser, and at the bottom, it should say like, watch the video, or take me to the video, or show me the video at the very bottom. Click on that, and you will see the same directories Rob has, and all of you have access to that right now. You can go to the AV Sync folder, and you can play back the exact same shot I shot here in California, audio and video synced. You can even go to the edits folder that Rob just did an edit. And hopefully, maybe you could put in the chat that you've been able to get this QR code to work. I'm going to switch off my screen now here. Okay. But if you able to get that work, let us know that you're getting those assets in there. In fact, if you're really brave, go into Rob's edits directory and make a note, make a comment. I see James Flores is in there. James is in there right now. Make some notes in Rob's edits folder. And if you do that,
nice notes, by the way, be kind.
Nice notes would be nice. We're recording this, and your name is attached to it. This is your name. Right. So James Flores, thank you. This is so cool. I'm gonna like James Flores. I'm gonna say thank you, and I'll even give you a little thumbs up emoji right there. So we could do that right there in Frame.io. Now James and I, who don't know each other, are literally now communicating this directly, and there's a thread going. We see Andrew's in here. Andrew has a great Italian last name. Anybody who has a name that ends in a vowel is great by me. So, so we're glad to have Andrew in there. And now we're all collaborating together, right? Like we're collaborating together. And Rob is actually shooting more elements. In fact, if I show my phone right here, look at this. I'm going to open up my phone, and I'm getting comments on my phone. I can see right there, James Flores made a comment there. I can open that up. It'll take me right to James's comment. Look at that. Right there with one touch, I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm also going to show you an app here in the bottom left called ZoeLog. ZoeLog is a camera reporting app. So this is an electronic camera reporting app that shows all the different, this was an interview production. If I go to the share button at the bottom, I can see there's a Frame.io integration. Watch what happens to Frame.io when I hit send. Frame.io will make a new directory, automatically publish that, and give a camera report. And now inside of Chioni ZoeLog, we have a text file, we have an RTF file here, and a PDF of all that information right here shared across. Rob made more videos. So here's Rob's Pixel 6. So here's an Android. He's using his Pixel 6, shooting images there. All of you can get these assets yourselves. Like if you are browsing through that QR code I gave you, all of this becomes available to you through the link that I sent. The link that I sent says review links right here. This is the link that I've created. And the person, I forget the name, I apologize, but the person that was asking about security, I can actually do something right now. I can kill this link. And if you all refresh what you just were looking at, it's gone.
Right.
I have total power over the activity. I can change what it's how it's available. I can disable the link. I can make it private. I can make it public. And if you refresh, it's gone. And now if you refresh again, it's back. I can kick people out of my project, as Rob showed. I have 37 people in here. I can add people. I can share the links. I can change the provisions of this and make it invite only. So I have to invite you to it versus public, which I provided you today. I can add watermarks to it. I could make an expiration date and say this whole thing expires tomorrow at 11:05 a.m. I have all the power of security right here, and all of this is happening actively. And I can see 26 of you have already clicked on the link, so we can do that. This is really the power of the security that we offer here.
That's awesome. Yes, we're getting a lot on the Adobe Live side. Yep. Blissart is in. All right. Misty got the QR code to work. David Shucker. Awesome. Awesome. Very, very cool.
And
I mean, the amazing thing about this too is now someone, oh, by the way, Stephanie was just asking, so what is your connectivity where you are, Michael? Are you on fiber? Are you on 50 megabit?
Remember, we're using the Sclera modem here. We're on LTE. So I'm just using a Verizon cell tower somewhere in the neighborhood here. That's all this is. We do these demos using hotspots because we know that if you're in a real production, you don't have access to Wi-Fi. There's firewalls. There's, they have short ranges. LTE is really prevalent globally and will only get better with 5G and satellite internet. And that's how we're doing this demonstration.
Okay. Now, someone else was asking, is that going to evolve to something else? Because I think Reverb Mike was saying in some areas LTE is getting phased out. What is the answer to that?
Yeah, Wi-Fi 6 will be great for the Wi-Fi world, but 5G and low Earth orbit satellites use their own version of moving the TCP/IP network to people. Right. So it's sort of, if you think about, if you've ever had XM radio, right? You drive around and you have a tiny little bump on the roof of your car. The low Earth orbit satellites are transmitting data in the form of audio through XM radio with satellites. The same principle will happen with Elon Musk's Starlink and things like that, which is now available in low Earth orbit satellites, so that wherever you go, you're online. We're just increasing the bandwidth so that instead of sending audio like HD radio or XM radio, we can transmit anything, including 4K video.
Oh, amazing. Now, this one, I'm not sure if you can speak to this. Ramesh is asking, are there any country limitations in using this technology that you're aware of?
Well, I actually just got back from a trip all over Europe and Eastern Europe. And as long as there's a SIM card cell network, which again, LTE is very powerful and popular, it works everywhere. In fact, in Africa, it's actually really interesting that cell networks are actually way more advanced and prevalent than Wi-Fi, because a lot of countries have trouble putting cables to every single house, but it's easier to build a tower and just use LTE. And so we actually see in a lot of nations, cell phone coverage is higher than that of internet in the home. And that's actually a good thing for Camera to Cloud, because cell phones are more available, cell towers are more available. And we've actually done this in every continent. And anywhere there's cities, which is generally where people shoot, it's very, very easy. Again, if you can make a phone call, which is what I just did, we're just using cell towers to move this media.
Right. Now, another question here. Fairly obvious here, but just maybe you could speak to it a bit more. So, of course, what happens when the internet goes down for a moment, or you don't have connectivity? You continue to shoot on your, they're saying iPhone here. I imagine once you're back in connectivity range, things start going back up to the cloud.
Yeah. So, on all the devices we have certain rules that we apply to our integrations when they integrate with us. And one of them is to make sure that there's always a storage of backup of all these proxies, right? So every proxy that's made, whether it's Teradek, Atomos, or Filmic, it's always saved locally to the device first and then uploaded. So if you don't have any internet for half an hour, 4 hours, an entire day, doesn't matter. They will start uploading once they connect. Yeah.
And that's good. And that's a little bit of insurance too, because, and again, several people have asked about, local storage, and I imagine all of your for the moment, all of your devices are still going to capture locally, including working with Filmic. But it's just that idea that, here I'm out in the desert. There are some regions where there's just no service. There's no cell service whatsoever. And but drive 5 minutes outside of where we're shooting, 5 bars again, everything's working again. Now those proxies start to get uploaded before I'm even back to my desk, and that's kind of the key to this, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know, we were working with a group in Hawaii, and they were shooting kind of in the middle of the island somewhere. And they would, you know, they would shoot all day, and they would take the device, the Tear Deck, home, put it in the car, and then on the drive home, you know, they would get into cell service and would just upload as they were driving. By the time they were home, it was all done.
Nice. Okay, let's see. I'm checking through some of the other commentary here. Thor is asking, well, this is not directly related, but weighing in on the use of editing consoles for video editing. This actually has come up, and maybe this is something you can speak to with regard to Frame and like Premiere and sort of keyboard shortcuts. Are there a lot of sort of shortcuts and actions that you can implement inside Frame that are controllable via Premiere or outside? I mean, now that the panel is built in, I imagine there are multiple functions that are assignable via keyboard shortcuts in there to do a lot of things.
Inside the web app, we have a list of hotkeys. Actually, it's pretty deep. Of what's available. It's not customizable in the web app. I'm not sure about the Premiere Pro panel. I think that may be fixed as well, unless it's just going through the Premiere controller. But there's a lot of hotkeys available for things you may not expect there to be, which is pretty cool. So I encourage you to dig through that for sure.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, we again a couple weeks ago we kind of dove deeper into just the keyboard shortcut editor, and I want to remind everybody that as we add new functionality in Premiere, of course, there's just invariably going to be new things in there. So we have web docs, you know, on adobe.com/Premiere Pro that'll tell you some of that stuff, but it's just worth investigating. And I think even if you just sort of search for Frame in there, you'll probably find some that have already been pre-assigned among many other sort of functions as we add them in the app here. All right, continuing to see, people are asking, can we still click the link? Yes. You feel like pulling that back up, Michael?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
yep.
All right.
Yeah, now they're like,
nice.
What is everybody watching? Is everybody clicking the stuff?
Right.
Yeah, get in the game.
InDesign
Click
demo.
on that.
Yeah, right.
It should open up a web browser, and at the bottom it should say like, show me the video or take me to the video, and click on that, and it allows you to browse everything we're shooting, including the documents that we've uploaded. And if you think about it, if I jump back right to here, where we look at today's date, look, inside of the date, audio, video, sync, edits, camera reports. And in the video, we have multiple videos being shot here. Multiple people here. Oh, who uploaded this? Where'd this come from? Did John do this?
John. Yeah.
Yeah. John shot this today. So John, see, it's separating John from Rob from myself. It knows that we're different. And so it automatically categorically separates things. So it's actually really clean for users to integrate other people's work because it's automatically collated. So it's easy to work. But you got to remember, everything in here didn't exist when we started today. When we began, this was empty. And we have now created these assets. We've uploaded 510 megabytes of total assets so far. Half a gig went up of just stuff. And it's already organized. And as we keep shooting, it will just keep organizing over and over and over. And if you remember, Rob uploaded a second version of this. Actually, now he's on a third version. And one of the things that's really powerful about this is we can do the compare. Maybe Sean showed you this the other day, but
we did not get into this.
Oh, well, what you can do is you could switch between the versions that Rob created, and I could compare any version to any version. And it allows the user to be able to do that. And of course, the edits are going to change. But effectively, this is a great way to evaluate color correction or sound mixes that are different or edit versions. And if you ever need to like visual effect shots, you want to see old versions, you could just keep stacking as many as you want. And in the stacks here, you can see this is my stack. There's a button for compare. And I could always change my stacks. I could rearrange the order of the stacks and it would dynamically change. And I could even unstack them. If I go back here, if I wanted to remove this top one, I can choose X and now it'll pull it out of the stack. So now I have separate. If I want to restack it, I just drag and drop and now I have a third there. All of that is available for you to click on and try today. In fact, if you actually want to look at this not on your phone, I could do this. I can copy the link here. And if I go to the comments, can I post a comment here?
Yeah, you should be able to. Here, I'll take you out so we're not seeing the...
Yeah, I don't know.
I just have to go into the the chat section there. You should be able to just post a
Yeah.
comment.
See it, text box.
Actually, not the private chat, just the main comment.
Yeah, I don't see a text box to type in, unfortunately.
Oh, weird. Okay, should be.
But what I can do, well,
Send it to John. John can drop
It's
it
okay.
in.
Actually, we've got Cody on the Adobe Live side who's already posted the link in there. So
oh, really? Okay,
it's
great.
going.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already got
Good.
it. So
I realized.
someone is asking.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone's asking another question. I'm gonna let you drive this for a sec and take my camera off. So maybe you can talk to the process. Obviously, so we're talking about the capture phase here and working with proxies. But at some point, we are going to want to revert to the master footage. And I don't know if Michael or Rob, if you're set up to maybe just kind of show that real quickly in approximately a minute, so I can just run back.
Yeah.
The reconnecting from, because it's a little, it doesn't change the way we actually showed proxies, I think, about 2 months ago in this kind of series of masterclasses. But maybe you could kind of walk them through that, because we want to emphasize too that, right, all of this is still proxy based. So at some point you need to reconnect your master media. Maybe we could go through that real quickly.
Yeah. Of course, I can't show it because we still haven't pulled the card out of the camera, so I don't have the OCF yet. But I can speak to it, right? So it's really easy. It's honestly as simple as making a clip offline and then linking back to the original, right? So it's super simple. We're matching with timecode. We're matching with clip name. So you have everything you need to have Premiere Pro switch back to the original. Now, maybe you're editing in Premiere Pro, but you're onlining in a different tool, right? So you're sending to your colorist who's using their color tool. Again, because there's timecode and clip name, these work in a traditional online workflow, right? So you can send an EDL or an XML and they'll conform right back. It's really pretty simple and nothing too complicated there, because we're getting that important information with the time code and the clip name.
Jason, are you able to switch to my screen by chance? Are you still there? I think he disappeared for a sec.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob. Finish up.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that, and that works across all our integrations, right? So that's a key part to what we're doing with all of our partners, is to make sure that those workflows are functional, because that's important, right? That's the way we're looking to work with these. So again, it's just a simple relink with the time code and the clip name. So just keep your media organized as you normally would, and you'll be good. You'll be good.
Jason, would you mind switching to my screen real quick? Another way to demonstrate this is we have some training resources. So Rob explained that it can be done, but how do you actually go through the process? Well, we built a training series. It's available at frame.io/C2C-training. So there's the URL, frame.io C2C-training. And inside this this resource, there's a number of tools. Our friend Valentina V was one of our co-hosts who takes you through the process of doing dailies and relinking in Avid, Premiere, Final Cut, Resolve, and even using dailies workflows and things like that. So this is all chronicled through this process, and you can leverage that. You can also go to support.frame.io and search for something specific. For example, you could search Teradek Cube or Adamus Ninja or live streaming, things like that. And if you do camera to cloud plus live, right? And you could go through, and in our support documents, there are articles, Rob wrote quite a few of these himself, that allow you to dig deeper in your workflows. We've tried to provide a lot of information for people to learn from, because we know you have unique custom workflows. The more feedback we get from you, the more support articles and videos we release that help answer those questions.
Awesome. And want to remind people too, and this was something that I showed last week with Sean, don't forget that we also have CC Learn. So from within Premiere Pro, there are actual tutorials with video and with timelines and sequences that you can follow along with to just kind of, reorient yourself to starting with Frame.io within the app. So you never even have to leave Premiere Pro, which is just another great sort of option here. We often, we don't emphasize enough that these things get refreshed a lot, particularly with new acquisitions like yourselves. So super, super cool. All right, so we're in our last kind of 5 minutes here. Any final thoughts on kind of inspiring people? I know people, there was one other question too, that I think we should probably touch upon, and you both can probably speak to this, with regard to the storage and sort of the different plans for working with this, because I imagine, and again, you're shooting, with in 4K or 8K or what have you, and you're trying to do the highest, the 10 megabit proxy. And if you're working with multiple clients, even if you're a solopreneur and you're leveraging all of this, you are going to at some point hit a limit. So what does that look like, and what are some of the breakdowns of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we've got several different plans. The first one is our Frame.io for Creative Cloud, which we launched last month, which is really exciting. It gives you 100 gigabytes of storage and a couple of projects and some team members. That's a great way to get started. 100 gigabytes, and it comes with Camera to Cloud.
Right. And that's for every Creative Cloud member. So anyone
every
using
Creative Cloud user gets that.
Okay. Awesome.
Automatically rolled into their plan. And that's a great way to get started with Camera to Cloud, especially with Filmic Pro, because they're super small. I mean, if you think a 5 megabit per second H.264 or HEVC is roughly about 1.5 gigs per hour of footage. So, it's tiny. You can shoot a lot with that. And then, of course, from there, we've got a couple other plans that add, I think they start at 250 gigs and then 500 gigs. And then we have an enterprise level for companies or for serious power users.
By the way, just for context too, because we were talking about this, just with regard to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So talking about, how small an H.264 version is for an hour, you said 1.5 gigs or something. 20 seconds. And this is again, where in terms of reconnecting your master footage, the ProRes 422 HQ HDR footage, 20 seconds is 1 gigabyte on that phone in master footage. So just for comparison's sake, you can see how small and how effective the proxies are and why this is possible. I mean, we did this live a couple weeks ago, and it's like, yes, 4K HDR is amazing, but it's a lot. So even to that, if you just wanted to start editing, I mean, you'd be doing a lot of waiting time to import all that master footage. With Camera to Cloud, there's no wait. I mean, honestly, seeing how quickly you're doing this shooting, as Michael's shooting red, it's very inspiring, and I think it's something that everybody, having seen it for themselves, and again, having so many people kind of get involved in the comments and everything, this is a reality. And as Michael pointed out, this is stuff that, yes, we were sort of touching upon years ago. In fact, I'm old enough to remember now. This excludes video, but I don't know if anybody remembers this. This is like the mid-'90s, and Aerosmith did one of the first, or was it U2? I think it was Aerosmith. Maybe it was Aerosmith and U2. Did this cross-continental client collaboration. It was sort of via Pro Tools, like circa 1994, doing audio recording live, which wasn't really live. It was super delayed, but it was just this concept of they were sort of sharing tracks back and forth that long ago. I mean, that's almost 30 years ago. Cut to 10 years ago, we were starting to do some of that with video, but there was still, as you pointed out, first of all, we didn't have, 4K, 8K, etc. But there were so many other limitations, and there just wasn't an expectation that would really be something you would have used for real, right? You might have experimented, you might have gotten lucky, but not dependable. Here, I think we're selling a level of dependability in doing this as well, largely because, of course, there's always the hard copy backup on the device itself. But this is something which it's a reality today that even a couple of years ago, really, frankly, wasn't, right?
Yeah, it's a good story. It was probably like an ISDN line with that Aerosmith story.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's dial up, really, but it
right, yes. 56K, just above 56K.
But what you point out there is actually really fascinating, because what we can do if we are trying to be futurists, if everybody wants to think about one easy way to predict the future, history will show when it comes to digital technologies, everything happens to documents first, then audio, then picture, because of the size of the asset itself. So even think about think really simply, CDs came before DVDs. Why? Because audio is easier to digitize than video. Cloud documents came before cloud audio. It was easier to type in the cloud, like Prodigy, before you could send an iTunes file, right? Like all these things happen in the same pattern based on bandwidth. What this means is video, it's our at bat. We're up to bat right now, and it's our turn to follow on the footsteps of what's happened to sound, like Sirius XM radio we talked about, like those principles are going to apply to video. It's just that documents come first, sounds a little bigger, video's even bigger. But we know that the pattern's the same. And that's why this is a technological certainty. We also know it's a certainty because the telecommunications companies know 10 years ago their plan was, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Right.
Can you hear me now? Now that everybody can hear everybody, their plan is more bandwidth, more bandwidth, more bandwidth.
Right.
They know they can sell us bandwidth and we're willing to pay for it. Media and entertainment professionals, we're probably willing to pay a little more of a premium for more bandwidth and more accessibility and more total storage. We probably can do that because we can pass that expense on to our customers who value the turnaround even faster. So these are all good things happening outside of our industry. They're going to feed into our industry and make it the ripest it's ever been for real collaboration that is really what we sometimes call frictionless collaboration.
Right. Right. Well, on that incredibly verbose and poetic note, along with the baseball colloquialism, thank you so much, Michael and Rob, for joining. This was absolutely awesome. I'm going to ask you two to stick around for just 2 minutes. For everyone else, we've got the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge coming up next. So please, big round of virtual applause in our chats for Michael and Rob. This was so awesome, gents. Thank you so much for joining me on the Masterclass. Just real quick, do you guys have any socials where you want people to follow you? Any particular Instagram or Twitter or anything like that?
Put that on the slide here so people can get a hold of us. And I can do this in real time here, but we should definitely have Rob. Is it R. Lachlan, Rob, at Adobe?
Yep, that's me.
Right.
Yeah. And
All
John
right, and we got 20 seconds, so type quickly.
Yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us. We're happy to help. We're here to help. There you go. We're really here to help everybody. We want your feedback. We want your criticisms. We want your constructive feedback so we can make this better.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.